was thinking earlier today, you know what I didn't like about my marriage? I did not like that my ex-husband, God rest his soul, made me feel so unworthy all the time. Just insecure, not good enough. It was like no matter what I did, it was never good enough. Especially if I did things in my own way that was not his way. I was constantly made to feel like I could have done more. For example, if I made a meal, it was always, it needs more salt, or it has too much salt, or I need hot sauce, or I need ketchup, stuff like that. Or if I was around other females, he would just make me feel like they were better than me. I was in an interracial relationship and I had never been in one before. My husband was a Hungarian Jew. And just sometimes I feel like he would try to make it seem like white girls were better than me sometimes. I don't know. Just by the way he behaved and the way he responded. And he would not be honest about being attracted to other women. And being the fact that I was with him when I was very, very young, I was freshly 18 when I first met with him, and I stayed with him for 20 years. It's when we finally got a divorce, and then he ended up dying a year later. Either way, I just never felt whole or complete, and that's because I jumped into that relationship after so much childhood trauma that I hadn't dealt with, and so many issues that I felt like he completed me. So when I didn't get his approval or I didn't get his support, it was as if my world had fallen apart. And I honestly believe that I put more into that relationship than I put into having a relationship with God or myself or even my children. And as much as I loved my children and as much as I was obsessed with my kids and still are, I really put that man first before anyone or anything, and that is not healthy. So I kind of feel like what happened to me was not so much my punishment, even though that's how I feel sometimes, but the consequences of my decisions and my actions of putting a man before God, a man before my children, and a man before myself. It's just not healthy. And I grew up seeing most women do that. I saw my adoptive mom do that, and all of her sisters, her mom, just everybody, even people on television and love songs. Because I had to come to realize a lot of what I believed about the world came from fiction. It came from reading books, magazines, watching movies, TV, listening to music. And those things may be someone's experience, but it's not real. It's just an expression of things that may or may not have happened when we're talking about art or media. So you can't base real life off of art, even though that art does often reflect life. It's not your life, and you have to learn about life on your own. It's okay to be influenced by art, but it's not okay to build your whole personality and belief system around it, which is what I believe we do as kids sometimes. And that's why going from childhood into adulthood into the real world is so shocking for so many of us, especially those that lived a sheltered life and maybe weren't exposed to the real world. Once you get out there, it's shocking. You don't know that people lie. You're not street smart. You don't always see things for what they are. You see people maybe in their potential. And I just made sure that I raised my kids to be street smart and not just book smart, because them books don't help you when people are trained to be manipulative. I did not know that there were just chaos agents, people that were out there to just take, and everything that they said was a deception. Real life Decepticons and vampires and all these things that you were raised to believe are fairy tales are actually archetypes of people that really exist, and it's things that you have to look out for. And if you're not taught that, then you're going to be caught off guard. I did not get support, and now I support myself. I get my support from my God, my ancestors, and my kids. The relationship that I have with my children is mutually beneficial. I invest in them, they invest in me. I listen to them, they listen to me. We both learn from each other. But with my ex, it was always a power struggle. He always wanted to teach me everything, not treating me like an equal, not understanding that I want to learn, I want to make mistakes and grow. That's the growth process. Why are you cutting me out of the growth process? Every time I want to learn something, you feel like you need to teach me. I don't want to be taught by you. I want you to play one role, my husband. And see, I had to take responsibility in the fact that I treated this man like a god, so I expected god-like behavior, when really he was just a man. So I had to have made him feel like a disappointment to me constantly, because okay, he was disappointing me. But I could have handled it better. Two, I probably wasn't supporting him because when he was emotional, I felt like he was doing too much, and I did want him to tap into his emotions, but I didn't want him to use his emotions as an excuse not to grow. It's like, okay, you can be in touch with how you feel, but how you feel can't stop you from getting up off your ass and doing what you got to do for his family. I had to take responsibility for maybe not making him feel worthy either, but that was only when he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do for the family. And I just wish that I would have listened more and not talked so much, because I don't feel like I gave him the space to really let me know what I needed to do to change. I feel like I thought that I was always right, and there's no way that that's actually true. Some support would have been nice. I feel like I always supported him in his endeavors and included myself in stuff when he needed support. So when it was time to support me and my ideas, he didn't want to do that. So any relationships that don't reciprocate, I just got rid of. It really would have been nice to have the space to grow together, but it seemed like the more that I grew, he took like offense to that, and he wanted to keep me set apart from the world and just stuck in the house and cut off from everyone. And that's not healthy, and my growth was stunted, and it made me depressed. And while he was out gallivanting around doing whatever he wanted to do and running businesses and talking to people and having associates, I didn't mind raising our children, but it's like, you got to let me branch out. I'm a musician, I'm a writer, I'm so much more than just a wife and a mom. And for 20 years, I did not really get to explore that unless it was under his thumb. So it sucks that he's gone, but on the same token, I finally am free and able to raise my kids the way that I want to, and I'm able to really explore myself on a much deeper level without being told what to do or how I need to be. I honestly wish that we would have had the same goals. I thought that we did, but I feel like we wanted the same things, but different to a degree. I wanted to go about getting to our wealth in a different way than he did. I'll put it that way. And I didn't want the power aspect. Like, I wanted power in a different way than he wanted power. His was more of a control. Mine was more of a impact. Like, I wanted to have impact and he wanted to have control. And those are two very different goals. So if I ever got into a relationship again, I would definitely make sure that we had the same goals. I would make sure that my strength did not make him feel inferior. I would make sure that he's not, I would make sure that he has confidence. A man has to have confidence. Also, I think it's good that they have a good relationship with their parents, and it doesn't hurt if they have a friend group, or at least, not necessarily a friend group, but at least a confidant. Someone low-key that can attest to their character. I don't have friends, but I definitely have friends. I have people that have known me my entire life. Like, we are friends. We just don't talk anymore because I cut everybody off. But I definitely have friends. So it's a little bit telling if you don't have one person from your entire life that can be like, yeah, this is a good person. These are just things that I look for now. I really look to see if you have pets, if you have plants, do you have good relationships with the people around you? Do you go to work on time? Does time matter to you? Does people's time matter to you? Do you show up late all the time? Are you well manicured? Do you like to groom yourself? Do you have hobbies? These are things that I would look for. I just used to fall into relationships in my past. Just whoever came across my path was nice to me. Boom. If they wanted to have a relationship, we would have one. And I never put any thought into who I was with or what I was doing. And I would never do that now. I'm way too meticulous. I'm way too strategic about my life. I've been alive for a very, very long time. And I've wasted a lot of time. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've invested in the wrong people. But something I got out of all of that were lifelong lessons that I can now share with you. What are things from your past relationships that you wish you would have done differently? What are some of the lessons that you learned from your exes? What are the things that you don't like about your past relationships? Because I'm going through this whole inventory. I'm taking an inventory, and it's part of this whole processing emotions and healing process that never freaking ends, of just wondering why I made some of the decisions I made in the past. Like, we understand that we have experienced childhood trauma. We understand what that was and who caused it. We understand that we need to use coping skills to manage the trauma, but when it gets down to a deeper level, why do we make some of the decisions that we made? So I want to get to really understand my mind so that I can take more control over my life, because I don't want to make the same mistakes, and no one can do this work for me. I'm the one that has to look at my life and figure out why and when I made the bad decisions, because I don't want to just be like after death standing there with all them spirits and God looking at my life looking stupid. I'd rather take that assessment now before I'm in front of everybody having to be like, I did that. Thank you for spending time with me here in Fury World. If you're interested in checking out my music, it's available under my artist name, The Fury of Abyss, on all music streaming platforms worldwide. I think we're doing pretty good. And I would like to say, I don't regret any of that relationships from my past, because anything that would have happened differently would make me a different person and my kids wouldn't be here. So I can appreciate the things that I've been through in the past, but if I don't review them and understand why I did certain things, then I feel like it stunts my growth, and it kind of defeats the purpose of having those experiences, because I really want to get all the lessons I can out of it, because I've gotten enough pain out of it, that's for sure. I love you. Thanks for spending time with me today. I'll check you in the next episode. Peace.